And after 3 hours, he said, would you like your wife to join us? I said, sure. I thought he was being kind because my wife had been in the waiting room for 3 hours. We walked into his office. He closed the door. We sat down. He drew a line across the board. He said, I need to talk to both of you about survival rate. Survival rate, my wife said. Of his eye? No, ma'am, of his life. What we're dealing with is a spiral melanoma, a very serious cancer. And because of the proximity to the brain, he was assuming I had one, this is a very serious thing. He said, our recommendation is take the eye out immediately. What do you say at a moment like that? My wife will tell you the first words out of my mouth from whence comes the thought of the message this evening. Oh, well. There's not anything I can say that changes the situation. There's not anything I can do that changes the situation. It's just there. I'll never forget when I left Stone Mountain, Georgia, flew back to Washington, D.C. Are you ready for this? For my outpatient surgery. I was not admitted to the hospital. You go to the hospital, they take the eye out, and you go home. It's an amazing thing. Some days you go to the dentist, have a tooth pulled, go home. Some days you go to the hospital, have an eye pulled, go home. I'll never forget that day. I walked up to a lady, Steve Pickett, I'm here for surgery. They could not find my name anywhere. Look at me, they've got your paperwork downstairs already. So I went downstairs where they directed me to go. Walked up to another lady. Hello, I'm Steve Pickett, I'm having surgery. Yes, we've been expecting you. And she pulled my file. The first words out of her mouth. Now, what are you having done today? What does the file say? I said, ma'am, I'm having an eye removed. Oh! That sounds serious. Yes, ma'am, I guess so. And then she said this. Which one? You ever want to just get in your car and go home? Come back on another day when everybody knows what we're doing? I said, ma'am, I'm having the right eye removed. Bible says that thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out. Doesn't say anything about the left eye. I wanted to make sure the doctor knew which one. And so when he came in, he walked up and said, Steve, how you doing? I said, Doc, I'm doing fine, but I got a question. What's that? Which eye are we removing? Right one? Mm-hmm. Is that your right or my right? That makes a difference when you're facing somebody. He said, you're right. I said, you got a pen in your pocket? Yeah. Take it out. I want you to draw an arrow right there. And he did, which, by the way, in many states is now law, that they have to write on your body. There was a 2020 program done. There have been over 15,000 wrong side operations. It came to bear in the Tampa, Florida area. A guy was having an arm amputated. They took the wrong one. Same hospital. 1 month later, guy was having a leg amputated, took the wrong leg. And because of that event, 2020 did the report. 15,000 wrong side operations. So they suggest when you go in, right on your body. Operate here. Don't touch anything over here. But when Dr. Perlman left, I had a strange thought. I wonder if he's going to remember what the hour is for. Is that the one I take out? Is that the one I leave in? Well, he got the right one. As we were leaving, he told my wife, all he'll need is Tylenol. He missed that one. I got home, whenever they had given me wore off, and I had pain, and my wife called him and said, okay, I'll put in an order for Percocet. I'm like, Percocet. I took Percocet, and for 3 days, I didn't even know I had eyes. For 3 days, I didn't know I had a head. I used to preach, I have never done drugs. Can't preach that one anymore. By the end of the same week, I'm on a plane with Bobby Finch and Rob Biz. We're flying to Canada for the next meeting. You get over it very quickly. I had not told him about the surgery, and I had not told him I was coming wearing the patch. I'll never forget that night when we arrived. We're setting up for the conference the next day. And there's one of the ladies at the church. She's talking to Rob. She said, oh, I'm so sorry Mr. Pickett lost his eye. Is that going to affect his vision? Duh. Lady, poke your eye out with a a shirt affects your vision. I don't see my hand right there. It was at the same night we went to the motel. I was unpacking, and all of a sudden, I didn't have my contact case. Take my contact out. I didn't have contact solution. I went down, knocked at Bobby's door, and said, hey, we need to go to the store, so I got to buy some contact solution. So we found a Safeway store. It was near midnight. I found contact solution. I could not find the contact case anywhere. I walked up to the lady and said, ma'am, do you have any contact cases? She says, no, we don't. We're out. And she says, but I can go to the pharmacy and get some pill bottles. I said, that'll be fine. And so she went away, and she came back with 2 of them. And she set them on the counter. And she opened the drawer, took out a magic marker, and she was going to write on the top of both of them. And I said, ma'am, look at me. I don't think I'm going to need but one of those bottles. And she said, oh, I'm sorry. I'll just put a L on this one. I said, thank you. That'll help me keep it straight. You know, one eye, one contact, I don't get them confused anymore. Some of the most unbelievable things have happened since I've lost my eye. Bob and Rob and I, we were in Orlando, Florida at this Christian school. It was early morning, having chapel, first thing of the day. All these kids were coming in, and nobody had a smile on their face. It was as if chapel is the worst thing that could possibly happen. Bob said, boy, we had a rough crowd. That's all right, I'll get them. I just stood up, started talking about my eye and the procedure and what they do, and it is amazing. When they take the eyeball out, they put another ball in, and they sew the muscles to that ball. Now, that ball, it looks like a wiffle ball. You know, it's got holes in it and so forth, like a piece of coral. And when it goes in, they suture the muscles to it, so now you have an eye that moves and a ball that moves. And then once the muscles have grown around it and they totally encapsulate it, then they come back later and they drill a hole in the middle of it and they put a peg there. Now that really looks weird. You turn the eye this way and the peg looks that way. Turn the peg that way and the eye goes that way. So it moves and tracks with this eye. And then they come back with the third procedure. You see, my eyeball is not one I can take out and play marbles with. It looks like I have my hand. The eyeball is painted here, it's concave on one side, convex on the other, and it just pops over that peg and it's held in place. And so now when this eye moves, and it tracks perfectly. And I'm describing this procedure, and the girl in the front row said, can we see it? I ignored her. I just kept describing the procedure and actually kind of turned away from her, talking to the people over here. And she said again, can we see it? And I continued to ignore and talked about the eye and the procedure. The third time, she was standing up, hands on her, can we see it? And I thought, well, I'm not going to go anywhere until I show the eye. And so I'm going to do right now what I did in that chapel service in Orlando, Florida. I'm going to show you the eye. It looks real, it looks normal.